Our spices that we're going to use today are 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon ground cumin, 1 teaspoon ground garlic powder, half a teaspoon onion powder, half a teaspoon smoked paprika, half a teaspoon dried oregano, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, this recipe calls for 2 chicken breasts, and it says to cut them in half because we're actually going to pound them. So there we go. Okay, I'm just going to be pounding these chicken breasts, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick right in there. It definitely helps get them a little more tender. Next, we're just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the tops of these, like this. I'll probably just use this fork to smear it around. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do is our little seasoning that we created earlier. We're just gonna sprinkle the tops of these with that seasoning. I'm gonna use about half that seasoning because I am gonna flip them over and I'll do the other side. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more on this one. Perfect. Okay, let's give those a flip and do the other side. Nice. Okay, a little more olive oil on this side. That's just so your seasoning will stick pretty well to it. So give that a smear around. There we go. And here we go with some more seasoning. Okay, I'm all seasoned. Want to make sure that's kind of well coated on each piece. And there we go. Okay, we are going to now add some black beans. I have drained them. And I did put a half a teaspoon of pepper and a half a teaspoon of salt in the bottom of that. And then we're gonna put corn, canned corn, which is also drained. And then about 2 cups of rice in there. And then 1 cup of salsa. And then 1 can of chopped chilies. So we're just gonna give that a good stir. And then we'll be placing that in our baking dish. So this recipe was a little bit confusing. It said 1 15-ounce can of fire roasted tomatoes drained. And then it says optional if not using chunky salsa. But I used chunky salsa, so anyway, what I did is I chopped up 3 little tomatoes and put in there. So, guess that's because I have a hard time following a recipe. I always need to make it my own. Okay, so now we're gonna put this into, I greased this, it's a 9 by 13 baking dish. I'm just gonna put everything in there after I stirred it all up. Just kind of make it all even in there now. And you can make this dish hot or mild. It really, whatever your family likes. My family tends to like mild, so I used more of a mild salsa. If you like spicier, just use a spicier salsa. Okay, and the last thing it says to do is go ahead and put our chicken on top, like this. Okay, just gonna cover the top of it with chicken. There we go. And the last piece will go right there. There we go. And now it said to add about a half a cup of salsa on top of our chicken. We're gonna go ahead and do that. And just put it all over everything. we are gonna bake this in the oven, uncovered, for about 30 minutes. And then, probably about 15 minutes before, we're gonna go ahead and sprinkle the cheese on top and let it cook for another 5 minutes or so. Okay, I've just placed the cheese on it. We're gonna put it in for 5 to 10 more minutes to let that all melt.